appreciate you being here. It's not only that, man. I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people tend to hide. Besides the I don't. I'm still on active duty. I don't want to go on your podcast because I don't want to give my opinion. I definitely appreciate you being so honest because I have a feeling, and again, this is the first time that we interact, but I don't think you would have cared. You could have been an active duty Marine, and you could have came here and said the same.
This is him.
Thing.
This is him.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would have cared
Exactly.
some on social media because that was again some of the talks I've had with some of the guys. I regret not building up because again that's the reason why I want to reach out to these guys now and be like, hey, can we do something on social media? Because the reason I didn't do stuff earlier is I was always scared. I got talked to about my social media when I was in Hawaii. I ran the only official post office page in the Marine Corps, and the chief warrant officer would be like, did we really need to post that meme? Did we really need to, like, he got mad at me during COVID because I was posting videos. He's like, that's what Comstrat is for. I don't have time to deal with Comstrat. Comstrat is busy. So I'm going to do all this. So for me, I backed off because I wanted to, not get in trouble. And then next I know, like, I start watching him, posting his stuff. And I'm like, but then I would kind of get you're not Sergeant Major Bull. Some of the guys would be like, you're not Sergeant Major Bull. And I'm like, and I would go, look, I'm not trying to disrespect Sergeant Major Bull, but I used to do stand-up comedy.
I feel like I'm going to get disrespected.
No, but I'm like, I used to do stand-up comedy. I've opened up for Sinbad. I've opened up for Tommy Davidson. I was like,
These guys don't know who Sinbad is. You're going old school.
I know.
Yeah.
But I would perform in front of the troops on deployment and stuff like that. And I did stand-up comedy before I joined. I go, so I've been an entertainer. So now you're telling me I can't do it because I'm just a staff sergeant, and you're scared of how I'm going to represent your
first
command?
of all, bro, what it is it's their self-perception that they're trying to project on you. And I don't want to come in and be all like therapist-y and philosophical, but I'm just saying, bro. I mean, seriously, why would they put that on you? You can't be Sergeant Major Bull. Before I was even doing anything, I didn't care. I'm going to speak my mind and be professional to the best of my ability. And I'm going to hit post. And I'm going to keep hitting post and keep hitting post and keep hitting post. And you know who came knocking on my door? Comstrat. How are you doing this? What are you doing? And I was like, me, Papa Bear on Instagram, Matt McDonough, and like one other person were the first one. You know what I said? I said, you guys really care about marketing, recruiting, social media? You really care about it? Let me let you in on a little freaking secret. Here's how it works, man. Find your top 5, your top 10, whatever it is, military influencers. Put together your team and utilize them. Fly them around the country, do meet and greets, whatever it is, bro. But they military it up, and then it's all of a sudden, I know this is your page, Barry, but I want to stick my hand up your hind parts and make you my personal Instagram meat puppet. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way. I get it. You can feed me things.
But then you stop doing it, and then you're the bad guy.
That's right.
And then you're like, oh, well, we shouldn't support.
And now what do they do? Now what do they do, right? Now they have a team, and they have these little summits at Virginia, Quantico, whatever it is. But you know what they do? They get the influencers in the room. And because you're a general, you're sitting there talking to me about social media, and I'm sitting there like, bro, you don't even know what you're talking about.
First thing about
you know about the military.
Well, they may know how the enemy is maybe using social media to target and to do the psyops thing, which a lot of people might not be familiar. But I want to get back so that way we can transition to the next topic. Essentially, we left off. You were not having some good thoughts, and I don't really want to be talking about that anymore, but what I feel that you're saying is that you're trying to connect with people that are doing the same thing that you're doing, and you're trying to connect with mentors that would help you to get to the level that you are doing.
Well, mine is more of is just more exposure, so people would know that they can feel free to reach out to me, and I can be there more for them. Because that's the energy I feed off of.
What's the mission that you're trying to do?
So mine is, if you're that vet or you're that current active duty military member or whoever it is, and you're dealing with mental health issues, that I'm just a message away. Right now I don't have that many followers, but I tell them, I say, hey, if I ever get too big, I'll let you know that I can't, message you immediately. But I was talking to one of my buddies. I said, look at how many people have a huge following and they talk about mental health. And have we ever peeled back the onion to see if somebody decided to unalive themselves and they left a message the night before in one of those big IG profiles? Did it get buried in the messages? I mean, that's the reality of social media sometimes. So to
Dude,
me,
I'm gonna pull it. You're gonna make me pull it up, man. I'm gonna
Well,
find this.
while you pull that, I just want to give some. I just want to give some oversight and some information, right? So I was looking for a link in order for us to get this information. This information is coming from the Military Times right now, and I'm gonna give the stats for unaliving in the military. Again, I'm currently doing this live on TikTok, so I cannot use the actual word. That's why I'm doing this on YouTube as well. But let's go ahead and let's get started. So and I'm going to be reading this off the article. The Army experienced the highest increase in unalivings, where 49 service members died by unaliving in the first 3 months of 2023, compared to 37 service members a year ago. This comes as the service still waits for its unaliving prevention regulation, which I don't know how you will regulate that, but sure. An Army spokesperson said in the email that the service is working urgently but deliberately to complete this effort. Now, obviously, the Army leads the charge, but it's because they're the biggest branch.
Yeah, by
far. Which, if we were to do this by percentages, I don't know how this would play out. But the Marine Corps actually had the highest increase. So it went from 8 unalivings in 2022 to 14, so almost double.
The Marine Corps is by far the most depressed branch. And I'm talking officially, like diagnosed, reported, the most depressed branch. I'm not saying that as like some hyperbole. Like that's...
Yeah. So from 8 deaths in 2022 to 14 in 2023, while the Space Force and Navy saw no increase from a year ago. The Air Force saw a small increase from 16th to 17 unalivings in 2023. Mm-hmm. So those are the actual stats that we have right now that are being released by the DOD. And again, you guys, this is public information. You guys can look it up in Military Times. Now, I feel if someone's gonna do it, they're gonna do it. Period. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there is nothing that once you made yourself up. And I will use the example of a Marine that I probably did rounds around the military or around the web very recently. It was Stats Sergeant Springs. You're familiar with that case. The Marine that went live right before doing that. I personally knew this Marine. We served together on recruiting duty. We were part of the same RS, and we were part of the same unit. I actually saw this Marine. I actually shook this Marine's hand the day that he did this.
What?
I would have, yes. Oh, yeah. We were, so you want the backstory? So the backstory was oh
my God, that's heavy.
My unit was getting back from the field that day that he did that.
Yeah.
The day that he did that, he was coming back from the field, and I was going to the battalion because I was doing my checkout. I was going through the battalion, and he was right in front of the battalion, just like on his phone. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if you've ever been to 1st Supply Battalion, but 1st Supply Battalion is right in front. Well, they changed buildings. Now, they used to be like CLR 17. Now it's like 1st Supply Battalion. So they changed to like where CLR 15 used to be.
On the parade deck?
On the parade deck, yes. So it's right there in the parade deck.
22 area.
22 area. And then right in front of it, you guys have the barracks, which has the parking lot.
Yep.
So I saw him. I was like, hey, bro, what's going on? You know, like, and again, it relates very much because usually the people that end up going through it is not the people that make just one mistake. It's the people that have strong personalities and they've made mistakes before. They've paid for those mistakes and they feel that. Again, I'm talking about my experience.
Yeah.
They feel that they're just gonna nobody understands them,
mm-hmm.
and they might as well not be here because they don't get to understand. They got divorced. They got divorced from their from their partner, and they got either kicked out or in trouble in the military.
Well, if somebody fact checked me on this, but the last time I checked, the top 2 risk factors were disciplinary, legal issues. It doesn't need to be you're getting NJP'd. It could be that negative counseling. Because, I mean, remember back when you were a PFC or, I was a private, whatever the case, dude, a negative counseling, you were like, oh my gosh, like my life is over. And relationship issues.
Yes.
Why is that important to
Get out
know?
of here.
Well, why is that important to know, though? Because as a leader, like, a lot of your people are going to have those issues.
Wait, you're telling me that's an issue? Oh, and you know what another factor is? Holidays. So again, I'm going through everything I'm going through in Hawaii, and Thanksgiving comes up. Not one member from command hits me up and says, "What are you doing for Thanksgiving?"
And you're by yourself.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, I didn't even know how I made
Holidays
it
are coming up, guys. And I'm going to tell y'all something, man. Number one, this is the highest of highs for some people. It's the lowest of lows. I had Marines that lost loved ones, tried to commit suicide on Thanksgiving Day, on Christmas Day, on Christmas Eve. And you may not have those issues, and that's good and fine and dandy, but ladies and gentlemen, we need to get to a place where we are engaged in each other's life and opening our doors and asking.
The way that I compare it is, you see sometimes you see those memes.
Why would a Marine sit in the barracks on Thanksgiving alone?
Sometimes you see those memes, religious memes that say, click a like for a prayer, and then all of a sudden it's like you prayed. It's really not.
It's not.
People think, and this is one of the last things that Sergeant Springs said. He was not perfect. But I'm gonna tell you this: he definitely did not deserve to go out the way that he did. And
do you mean his legal issues?
His legal issues,
okay.
yes.
Okay. I don't know much about him, but
so he was definitely not perfect. And he had a very strong opinion. He cared about a lot of people, and that's why he got in trouble sometimes, because he cared. He truly cared.
When you say he cared, do you think it drove him to maybe do things that like a senior command member would be like, okay, you care, but you know.
Exactly. And that's exactly right. And that's why I don't feel I know that he didn't deserve to go out the way that he did. And that's one of the very last things that he said in his life, crying, man. I get goosebumps because everyone in the group chat when he was live, they were saying, "Don't go, I'd rather listen to you." And you know what he said? And I was like, man, he's got a point. I'm sorry. It was like, where were y'all a year ago? That's how I know he made his mind up. Where were y'all a year ago when I really needed somebody? And that's the truth. There is nothing more truth than that, because people that are going to do those type of things, they don't go out there promoting that they're going to do those type of things. They don't go out there begging for people's attention.
They've asked you before.
They ask, and sometimes it could be very subtly. That's why when you asked me to bring Rob on the podcast, I didn't even know what we were going to talk about. And I was like, I told you, I was like, listen, don't ask me. If you feel that we need to bring somebody in to the podcast, let's bring you. I don't care. Like, let's do it, because you never know. And I'm glad that we had you on the podcast. You never know what somebody's actually going through. And like I said, if there's a perfect place to not be judged because of you guys' mistake, and again, it's not that I'm agreeing with some of the things that you did.
Oh, yeah.
But until when do we hold it against you? Because you know what I'm not going to do? I'm going to sit here and act like a hypocrite just because I would have done things differently.
Well, for some people, I'm going to tell you what it is. For some people, it's going to be forever. Just like with me, just like with you, just like with other people. Because why? We choose to go on social media. We're in the court of public opinion. There's always going to be somebody who's going to want to bring up your past. They're going to want to bring up my past. And to me, it's like, you know what I would say to those people? Like, how long do you got to, like you said, hold it over somebody's head? How many people do you know? Maybe they're never military. Maybe they were criminals. They got out of prison. They got a county jail. And they're trying to act right, fly straight. And all they need is people to believe in them. And there's times where people don't. They treat you like the criminal they knew from however long ago. They treat you like the bad leader that maybe they thought you were from however long ago. And there's some people who fold under the pressure and they go, you know what? Screw it, man. Nobody believes in me, dude. I'm done. And I'm going to go back to my old ways, whatever those may be, however unhealthy they may be. But that's sad, bro.
Here's one thing that I'll tell you. And this goes back to how is it that
I just posted this last night. 75% of suicides are men.
So the only thing is, like, when you were asking me about, like, my page and the message that I want to put out there to people is I understand, we're all sitting there and we're talking about being there for each other, which I agree. But one thing that I've been trying to push on my page sometimes is you yourself also have to learn how to get mentally stronger. And I'm not trying to blame anybody. I know that can be touchy. Let me go with it first.
Here's what it is. It's you need to do the damn work.
Well, right.
You are not relieved of the responsibility to do your damn work. You can't sit there and things and a good leader or someone who can't fall in your damn lap. Are you going to therapy? Are you exercising?
No.
Because I was thinking about this. I got pissed off about this morning.
Well, what I'm saying is,
go ahead,
what I'm saying is, like, for me, I go to the movies at least probably every 2 weeks by myself. I go and eat dinner by myself. I'm doing this road trip by myself. Right now, granted, some people are like, "Hey, checking up or whatever."
I know this is a weird question, but are you dating or are you trying to date?
No, I'm not dating right now.
Are you trying to?
If the right one come along, but
his number, you guys, is 8675309.
You know,
I'm kidding.
but
Don't
the
call
reason,
that number.
but the reason I'm doing all that is because I want to put myself basically in a position of being surrounded in a sense by nothing with the thoughts, because I mean I'm sitting there like on the road between Vegas and here,
sure,
you know, and
there's
I'm listening.
Not a lot to look at.
Yeah, and I'm listening to like the music that's putting me in like this bad trance, but at the same time it's kind of like,
is it techno?
No, I'm sitting there and I'm like putting myself in the fire, being like, you're gonna live through this. I'm not going to allow those triggers. I'm not going to hear our song, you know, between the ex-wife and I and be like, oh my God, it's time for me to do bad things to myself. I'm not going to I'm not going to see our restaurant, or I'm not going to smell a perfume, or I'm not going to see something Marine Corps.
Because that stuff was out here, you're saying, in California.
Well, but I mean, just in general, because you never know when you're going to see that. You could, I mean, like we used to watch certain shows together. So when you walk by, you know, like my stepmom loves Big Bang Theory. Well, that was her and I's show together. So you could just hear Sheldon and be like, oh, and I'm like, so you don't know where your trigger is going to be. You know, I could sit there and, you know, I could see a shirt and be like, oh, you know, that was us. And I'm like, no,
I've got back to your past.
I've got to, and even like the Marine Corps stuff, you know, I've got to sit there and be like, all right, I went out the Marine Corps the way that I didn't want to. I don't want to see a Marine Corps logo and go, oh, you know, I want to be able to look at that and go, I've moved past. I'm healthy.
I want to say two things. First of all, we've been talking about this. That's why I decided to wear this shirt, even though I wore it before in the podcast. 988/22. Okay, so this is from a TikTok shop. He is also a Marine. He's a Dark Horse. And a bunch of weird numbers. I think it's 03 something, because I know he's an 03.
Isn't it the world's okay as gunnies?
The world's okay as gunnies. Yeah, the world okay as gunnies. Yeah, but his actual like slogan on TikTok is a little bit different. So we wear this because we want to bring awareness to this stuff, and that's why we need to start being more comfortable talking about this. Rob, I hope that you truly are an inspiration to people, and this is a subject that I really want to touch on, and it's mentors. Through whatever position is, whether it'll be business, whether it'll be real estate, whether it'll be fitness, whether it'll be just simply going through life stuff. I want to ensure that people understand how to connect with mentors and how to connect with peers that are going through the same thing. Because what I feel, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is that we have an unrealistic way of doing this. You guys see myself, you guys see, you know, Barry here on the podcast. They're going to start to see you, and then all of a sudden they go like, well, let's reach out to them. And then, let's reach out to this huge accounts that maybe get hundreds of messages a week, and then all of a sudden, oh well, he's not responding to me, so he can't, you know, he's not gonna help me, and then they use that as an excuse to not progress.
I can't tell you how many messages I get, and that's exactly how they start. You'll probably never read this, and I'm like, I did read it though.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why I'm sitting here today, and it's something that I was talking about this morning with the other gentleman I was talking about. I was like, okay, I don't know when you're ever gonna come to the East Coast. Right? But Marines obviously follow you. So I go, if we build a network of, I can sit down with some Marines in Quantico or in Lejeune, and they hit me up, you know, on Instagram and say, hey, I want to know how Barry really is. Now I can have that conversation. You know what I mean? Because he's not going to be able to get out there. So if there's a Marine out there in Quantico that's like, you know what, I've always wanted to talk to the bull, or I've always wanted to meet to the bull, but can I at least talk to somebody who actually knows him? That's what I want us to be able to build, is that network like we do as Marines. Like, hey, I might not be able to talk to him directly,
here's the tough
here's
thing.
other people.
Because of the way that the military and you know, for all of us are Marines, because of the way it's structured, your closest, best mentors will always be people that are not in your chain of command.
I think you say that every podcast.
It doesn't mean that they're not in your unit. But it's 99% of the time gonna mean that they are not in your chain of command, okay? So what's the goodness about social media? People, you're in complete command. It's on demand. You consume it how you want, when you want, where you want. What I would offer to everybody out there, you gotta have the right influences. You gotta have the right influences. And I've said this a billion times. If you expect to live a positive life and you take in nothing but negativity all the time, I mean, you're just lying to yourself, or you're not really thinking about it. And then when you're in that moment, I want to highlight that to you and put that at the forefront of your brain, because you're following all these meme pages that it's just nothing but, tomfoolery, jackassery.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's funny, man. I get it. I'm not telling you you do whatever you want. I'm saying you got to have those. You got to have that positivity budget. And if you're out there, and you're not subscribing to the right people, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we actually ran out of time for this podcast. So what we're gonna do is I still want to talk about one more thing, and we're gonna come back to it. That's gonna be in the next very podcast. You guys can go ahead and click right here to see this podcast. We're gonna be talking about sexual harassment in the military. We're gonna be talking about, does the Marine Corps have a recruiting crisis? Because according to some people and the stats that are being put out there,
don't believe the hype.
The Marine Corps does not have. The Marine Corps is the
don't
only branch that don't
believe
have.
The hype.
But I think we should take advantage that now that we have 2 recruiters and talk about that experience of what it means. Do we really have a recruiting crisis, guys? So go ahead, if you guys haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and follow us on social media. Rob, I want to start you off first. Where can we find you on social media, brother?
Motivation with Spedden on everything: Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Just motivation _with Spedden, SPEDDEN, or for the drill instructor over here, Sierra Papa Echo Delta Echo November.
Do you want to get connected with people?
Yeah. I mean, if I will let you know, I do a lateral limits thing. So right now, if you blow up my inbox, you blow up my inbox, I'll answer you. If I ever get too big to answer you, trust me, I will post a video and say, I'm sorry, but I can't reach you at a normal time. But I'm here to listen. You guys motivate me, as the saying goes in the Marine Corps. You motivate me, I'll motivate you.
Awesome. What about you, Barry?
Hey, you guys know the vibes, man. @Bull5277, TikTok, @Bull52772. Those are my only accounts. Click the link in my bio. I would love to connect with you guys, have a conversation, create a community, because, we need each other, and a little bit of love and kindness goes a long damn way.
And I don't have to pay you $10?
I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.